All right, so welcome to the Atkinson Consulting Facebook Live with my good friend Lori Feldman, who is the database diva. Hey, Lori, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Marshall?
I'm doing awesome. So tell everybody where you live and kind of what you do.
So I'm in beautiful St. Louis, Missouri, and I have a database marketing company, which means I help people make more money with their CRM through use of data segmentation, marketing automation, email marketing, all that good stuff.
Right. And it's not just you. You have a whole team.
I have a team. I do. Right. Yep. There's 5 of us, and we're all working from home now, which I haven't done in many years. So this is my home office, and it's been an adjustment.
And how did we meet? Let's share that real quick too.
Oh my gosh. You are probably my story of why it's so important to have a good, solid LinkedIn profile. Because you went LinkedIn shopping one day.
I did.
That's my story. And surprised me and called me out of the blue. Never heard of you, didn't even know that the t-shirt industry was an industry. And you quickly educated me and asked me to come speak for all your fun people. And all your people are so fun. Everybody that I've met has been incredibly fun, brilliant, creative. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you for finding me.
Yeah, the t-shirt industry is some wacky, wild people, and we have a lot of creative entrepreneurs.
Yes, that's a very good way of explaining them. Yeah, very inspirational.
Right. Okay, cool. So this is a live event on Facebook, but it's also going to be available as a recording. So if you're watching live, or even if you watch it later, we would really love it if you would just leave a comment about where you live, where your company is from, what you do. And also, Lori is going to be taking questions. I have a bunch of questions prepared, but she's going to be taking questions from you. So if you've got a marketing challenge that you want to know about because of the coronavirus, how do I do something or whatever, we want to get that out, and we want Lori, or even me, if I happen to know the answer, we want to get that out and help you. So please leave your comment, leave your question. All right, so that's out of the way. We've got some prepared questions. So the first thing we want to do is we want to talk about this, which is the number one thing that we should be doing right now. While we're in lockdown mode, we should be thinking about your business. What should we be doing with our marketing right now, Lori? So give us the tip.
Okay. So I don't know about everybody else, and I would love to know in the comments if everyone else resembles this remark that I'm about to say. I have never worked so hard not making money in like 20 years.
Hey, I just said that today.
Is anybody else going through that? And I'm not saying that we're making no money. I was just telling Marshall we made a new sale to a new customer today. I am very fortunate that my business is the kind of business that can do well in situations like this. And we've lost some clients, but we've gained a few clients. And so life is okay for us. There's some stresses. There's some things that we have to be aware of. But one of the things that I've noticed is that our clients that we have are also in the same situation where they're doubling down. They didn't lay down and go to sleep. They said, what can I do to make my business better than ever? And so as a marketing support system for them, that means I have a lot more business to do. So I have my regular monthly clients, and we're doing even more business with them than ever before. That's why I'm so busy. And I say not making no money, obviously, making some money, but working harder than ever because we're trying to give back to them and be as supportive as possible. So what can you do? There's a lot that you can do. Even before the whole shutdown thing started, there were a lot of people who knew that they needed to do marketing, but they just put it on hold for whatever reason. And I'll get to that someday. I'm too busy. I don't have time. Well, now you have, theoretically, you have time, theoretically. But what can you do? You can't go sell, sell, sell. There's I always say in situations where people are anxious, people are afraid, those are not good environments for buying things. People who are afraid and anxious don't buy. And there's a lot of that going on right now. So you have to be very careful in the way that you present yourself in your sales. So the hard sell needs to go away. You need to not be doing that. And you need to take a much softer approach. Marshall, I'm going to have you pull up, if you can, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Okay, hold on. I have to figure out technology.
Yeah, I know you can do it. You showed me.
Hold on here.
Well, I think everybody knows what it is anyway. So if you can't pull it up, I'll draw a triangle.
I got it. Here it is. Right.
Yeah, right there. Maybe you can enlarge it a little bit too. So everybody, okay. This is not a new concept. Maslow was around, I don't know, 20s, 30s, 40s, something like that. And he came up with the hierarchy of needs, which is, people who are in a critical condition are concerned with food and safety. And then at the highest level of the pyramid, self-actualization, where you kind of have everything that you ever dreamed of in life. You're becoming a better person. You're giving back to society. And that's the top of the pyramid. Okay, so we all get that concept. And I think before the pandemic, sales and marketing was really aspirational, and it was focusing on the top part of the pyramid. And how can you get from yellow level to green level to blue level, and assuming that we are all beyond the red and the orange level as shown on there. But now something that's never happened before in the history of the world has happened, at least in our lifetimes. And guess what? Everybody in the whole world is now focused on that red and that orange level of, is my family safe? Can I go out in public and maintain my safety? Can I have customers coming to my store? What's going on in the world? What happens if I do get sick and I have to go to the hospital? Blah, blah, blah. So this is not to talk about all that. We all know that, but marketing has to change. Marketing has to drop down from the aspirational and be more in the moment, more connection with people, with your prospects, with your customers, with your staff. So the messages have to be on a much more personal level. So instead of where I may have recommended a mass email go out previously, now I would say, come up with your 80-20, look at your 20, and then what personal message can you send to everybody who's a 20%er on your list? And how can you be compassionate for that person and what they may be going through, and not just think about yourself and the fact that you need to have money coming in, because you needing money coming in is not going to make that person compassionate to your cause if they're not feeling it. So it's a give back situation. So empathy, huge.
So it's really, we're talking about long-term and trying to acquire and market to customers and not really worrying about transactional needs right now. We're thinking long term, we're thinking months and weeks from now, right? Not right here in the moment.
Yeah. So pretty much my advice that I always give is 100% of your contacts on a drip marketing campaign, 100% of the time. And that was my advice before. That's my advice now. And if you haven't done that, use this time to come up with the messages based on who is on your list. Are they a prospect? Or are they a customer? Are they a t-shirt buyer? Or are they something else? Do your segmentation, figure out what the best messages are to match to that group, and get your drips in place and get them launched, and just ignore what's going on right now, because we're not always going to be here. We are going to be out of this, and we just don't know when and how, but we are going to come out of it, and you need to be positioned in a good way when that happens.
Right. And I'd like to share the last thing that was on that presentation, just your note. I just think this is so perfect for this. which is if you're going to be contacting folks, right, this is what you need to be saying, right? So why don't you talk about that a little bit, Lori?
Okay, first of all, I stole the first one from Sloan from your interview that you had me watch with her.
Sloan, the rock star.
She was great. And I know she got it from someone else. I don't know who she got it from, but I just, everybody says, be empathetic, but nobody really tells you what the words are. This is a phrase. How are you holding up? If you ask that, sincerely to your customers, they're going to open up to you. So this was a message that I thought you could put together right now, today, like as soon as this live is over. Don't leave the live, stay on the live. We're not done yet, but once it's over, then sit down and use your Gmail, use your Outlook. You don't have to put it into an email service provider. Just put the message out. How are you holding up? Tell me something good going on in your life right now, and send it. That will have such huge dividends when the person on the receiving end gets that and sees how unselfish that was and how caring. And I mean, this is a message you would send to your mom.
Right.
So, send it to the other people that matter to you, which are.
And couldn't you, Lori, if you have MailChimp or Zoho or something, couldn't you create a drip marketing campaign with just this one sentence and send this out just as a text? I know that's something you talked about at Shirt Lab St. Louis, which was not putting a lot of photos and pictures and stuff, just sending it out as a plain text message because it has a higher open rate, and just sending this out, just this thing.
That's a really good point, Marshall. I'm not a big proponent or recommender of putting a lot of HTML in your emails anyway. I know that we have a lot of creative people in the t-shirt world, but email is not a place to do that. That's what your website's for. That's what your socials are for. Emails are to get people to those other properties that you have. So just be short and sweet, and the Googles, the Hotmails, all the different service providers, ISPs, they all want clean email that looks like it's coming from a real person. And the recipient, if you send this message, it makes it seem like you did sit down at Gmail and type that message as a one-off, even if you're sending it mass. So yeah, definitely just plain text. And that's why you can get it done so quickly today after this call.
Right. That's good. And before we get to the next question, I just want to highlight that Keith's watching. So Keith is awesome. I met Keith at Shirt Lab Portland, and he's a screen printer up in Northern California. So
I love that. I so get laying off your staff and having to do everything. It's a good reminder. It's a humbling experience in a lot of ways, because you did it and you built the business up enough that you wouldn't have to do it anymore. And then now here you are again, but now you know how to do it. So well done.
Right. That's right. And if we have some other people watching, don't forget to leave your comment about, hey, I'm here, where you're from, who you are. And also we're taking marketing questions. So if you want Lori, who's a marketing expert, to help you with your company's marketing right now, please, please, please ask her a question. That's what she's here for. So, all right. So while we wait for that, let's get to question number 2, which I had, which were drip marketing ideas. So first off, just to make sure everybody understands the term, what is drip marketing? And then what are probably your top 2 or 3 ideas that we can schedule out for the next couple of weeks?
Okay. So drip marketing is the idea that you share valuable, educational, normally I would say entertaining, that's okay too, educational, entertaining, tip kind of information, non-salesy, over a period of time that fits in a span of time that matches where that person is in your buying process. So for example, if you have a prospect, you're not going to talk about, all the ink manufacturers that you use to do a t-shirt, because they're not at that point yet. They haven't bought anything from you. We don't know if they're even interested in buying something from you. So you need to be much more high level. Whereas somebody who just bought something from you and now they paid you money, let's say, and they're waiting for their order to be processed, they're going to be a little antsy if they don't hear from you. So a good drip marketing for those kinds of people is, here's what's going to happen now that we have your order. Here are the people that are going to be working on your job. Here's a video of them working on your project right now. Here's some information on our website that can help you figure out how to take care of the product once you receive it. So those kinds of ideas. So different stages of the buying process require different messaging. So for example, let's say that you have a first call, sales call with somebody and they haven't bought yet. They're a prospect, you've given them a proposal. What kinds of things does that person need to know? So the best thing to do is map out your entire sales process for every kind of situation that you encounter over and over again in your business. What are the typical sales steps? And then what are the messages that go along with somebody who's in that stage? So and it's kind of hard to do from a blank piece of paper, but if you think about who's in the pipeline right now and pick a specific person who you can make those messages for, so that would apply to anybody who's at that stage of the sales process, then those ideas, as you fill them out and you write content for them, become the drip message. Each message has one idea. So you're not putting everything about your whole life history and product and services in one email. You're doing one idea, one drip at a time. And then that drip is going to last however long it takes for a prospect to become a customer, for an order to become finished and delivered, for somebody to go from order number 1 to order number 2. However long those processes are, that's how long each drip has to last. And each company should have probably, there's 8 to 10 different drips that you could come up with for your business to be at that perfect level of everybody, or as I said, 100% of your list on a drip 100% of the time. So 8 to 10 drips would take care of that. So that's what a drip marketing is. What was the second part of your question, Marshall?
No, so how can we create drip marketing for right now, right? So we have people who are in lockdown, shelter in place. We're going to be emerging. Maybe we've spun into using a different product line. For example, a lot of the t-shirt shops and embroidery shops are now offering face masks, or they're doing we're open banners and that type of stuff. So how can we use drip marketing to send, kind of educate people about what we're doing, but also not be offensive? We just have to be doing it the right way. So I kind of want to just talk about what people can do, because we want to automate this process so it isn't like it's Tuesday and I got to do it, right? It's just built in there.
Yeah, that's the benefit of having a drip, is that once you've written it, it's kind of evergreen forever. And when somebody in 6 months hits that point of your sales process, they're going to be put onto that drip campaign, and that part of the sales process is going to be taken care of. So yeah, so we want to get these done and put to bed so that we can start using them. So my favorite way to fill the messages up is with stories, success stories. And even though you may not have the amount of business coming through right now that you would have during whatever normal times are, you have had success stories in the past. And again, if you've got the time, make an appointment with your customers to call them and do interviews, either on Zoom, which you can capture the video, and that's even better. But if not, you can certainly record those phone calls and use those phone calls to create the content for the message. And what you're trying to do is inspire a future customer who may not have thought of that idea without you suggesting it. And the more of those that you have, let's say that you can call 5 customers, that's 5 drips. If you're spacing them every 10 days, for example, then that's a long time. That's like a month and a half.
Right. Yeah.
2 months, 2 months of messages. So then you do 5 more, you get those going, you do 5 more, and you keep going until you've got enough to fill that drip timeline for that particular buyer and then move on to the next one. You kind of just knock it out a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I think the thing you might think about too is also frequently asked questions are good for drips.
Yep.
Also, hey, can you give us a Google review? Yeah, that type of stuff's good for drips. How did we do with our order? All that kind of stuff. And that way it's automated in your pipeline and your system, so you don't have to remember to do it.
Who do you know who might need T-shirts?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So Keith has a big question that's going to just completely cover up the screen. So he has two businesses, Precision One and Trek Concepts, which is the sign business. He's been contemplating combining them, but this whole mess has pushed me to do so. So advice is how to market this to his customers. I'm probably going to be Precision One apparel and signs. So what would you say to Keith here, Lori?
We actually have a client who's doing exactly what you're talking about. And he started as a sign business. His grandfather started the company. So he's been a little bit reluctant to combine it because he thinks it'll be confusing for his customer base. I don't happen to agree with that. And we started by doing some drip campaigns for him. And I said, give me the 5 customers. Let me call them up and interview them. And while I was on the phone interviewing him, I said, do you ever have a need for T-shirts? Because that's another division that the company is getting into now. And 5 out of 5 said yes. 5 out of 5. Mm-hmm. I'm the marketing person. I'm cross-selling products. I was like, right. Unbelievable. So I think sometimes you can be a little bit more tentative than your audience or your customer base is going to be. They're going to be happy that they can do one-stop shopping.
Right.
That was the experience that I found. So, on your website, there's some SEO issues that you're going to have to deal with. I'm not an SEO expert. Maybe Marshall maybe you can make some recommendations for SEO, but presuming you have all that figured out, then in terms of your drip, you could alternate messages, do a sign drip followed by a T-shirt drip followed by a sign drip, and you're sending them back to the same website. So they're going to be able to see it's the same company. And especially if they've had good experience with you in one business, they're just going to assume they're going to get that same experience in the next business. So Well done. Good job. I think that's a great add-on.
Yeah. So something to think about here, Keith, also is the fact that, your client base is mostly other businesses. You're a B2B person, right? So what are you selling them? Are you selling them signs? Are you selling them shirts? I would argue you're selling them neither. What you're selling is professional branding. You're selling professional services, right, that just happen to use graphics. And one medium is apparel, one medium is a sign, right? So both of these are using graphics because you want them to be more professional. They're trying to reach a certain value, or they're trying to communicate a message. So one of the things you might think about is, it's Precision One Communications, or Precision One Graphics, or something like that, that maybe overarches everything. And that way you can spin this into other things like promo products and other different things. And that way it's not just locked down into 2 things, shirts and signs. So just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think branding is, in fact, I have, can I jump ahead, Marshall?
Yeah,
I have an idea for, I haven't done this with any of my clients, but I was putting information together for this talk today with you, and I had an idea that I wanted to throw out there and see if anybody listening thought it might have merit for their business. So I'm a big believer that we all need to be more like Iron Man, genius level intellect, superhuman strength, and a regenerative life support. So
hold on.
Iron Man with us here today. Wait, Marshall, put me back on.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, go the.
I screwed that up, didn't I?
No, here he is.
It's Iron Man. That's great.
All right, thank you very much, Iron Man.
That's really funny. How long have they been waiting on the sidelines there to jump out?
To make an appearance. All right. So wait. So here's my idea. Who are you? Who do you know that you may as a sign company, as a t-shirt company? Who do you know who you could partner with, who's selling to the same customers that you are, but something else besides what you're selling? So I thought of this because it turns out Skechers, the tennis shoe people, their e-commerce sales are up 250% month to date, March, April, 250%. And at the earnings call, their president said, "We are learning that during the crisis, consumers still want comfort, quality, and value in a brand they trust." Okay, so if you wear sneakers, especially if you wear Skechers because they're known for walking shoes, what are you usually wearing with those sneakers? T-shirts.
Right.
So is there a way that we could partner with shoe people? I know St. Louis, where I am, has some local shoe companies. They're not all the big brands, but even can we make local connections with shoe stores? Okay, so that's one. That was one. And then the other idea that I had was the dog food and dog treat companies. Their business is way up. And I don't know if you saw this, that I can't remember where, a lot of the kennels, a lot of the humane societies are like out of dogs. Like everybody's running out of adopted dogs.
Man, that's a good problem to have.
That's a good problem to have. So, but if you have a dog, or if you've just adopted a dog, then your consumption of dog food and dog treats is going to go up. Mm-hmm. And now there's all these stories about people walking dogs. So, okay, when you walk a dog, you're probably going to wear a t-shirt. So is there some way to pair business goals with dog related companies? And
that's very interesting. So okay. I think what you're talking about here, Lori, is just being observant about what's going on around you.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, as a bigger issue, and back to Precision One, this is a branding play. All the t-shirt people that I've met because of you, Marshall, they're super, super creative. And they have teams of super creative people working for them. So take those creative people, and maybe you can do some brand awareness webinars for your clients for free, so that they get a sense of how talented you are in working for them and their brand. So I don't know, there's something there.
Yeah, one of the things that you can do, in fact, next week at this same time, I'm going to have Jay Bassell on, and he's going to talk about branding. One of the things that we mentioned that he went over in the original Shirt Lab in Columbus, Ohio in 2018 is the idea of doing a brand audit for your clients. So you could say to your client who's the sign company, before we do the sign, hey, let me do a 10-point brand audit for you. I'm going to review your brand just to see if it needs to be updated. You know, how are the fonts? Are you still using Bleeding Cowboys? Right? How are your colors? Are they relevant as they need to be? What's with that funky background from 1980s? Right? Or the clip art that you used, right? Maybe they're a construction company and they're using that same boring dump truck that they've used for 20 years. Can we do something better, right? So you can do a brand audit for people and say, I'll do it 100% for free. Here's my 10 steps. Here's some ideas that we might pivot to. If you want to put a little more effort into it, maybe you can put a design or two together for them, or not, whatever. But you can come back to them with, this is the way that can make you more relevant. And then you're selling much more at a higher value than just higher level. I do apparel and signs. So
I love that. And then you can take that 10-point checklist or that 10-point audit, and you can break it down into one-offs 10 times, and that's your drip to promote your audit, to get in front of these people who by maybe 7, 8, 9 message are ready to have you come in and do that audit.
Right. That's good stuff. All right. So let's go with the last question. I think that'll take us out for the hour, which is this one. How do we reactivate customers after we emerge from the crisis? Because Everybody right now is taking a big, long financial nap, right? We want to wake them up. So, Lori, what are your ideas about getting people jump-started with actually buying from people again?
I guess I don't make a big distinction between before and after in terms of the marketing, because if you don't have the drip in place now, or drips, really drips, the 8 to 10 that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I wrote down, I mentioned some, but the onboarding drip, the new product drip, because everybody's got new products or new signs or new whatever you're doing. Branding tips, like you just mentioned. So those are the 3 hot ones. I think where people get confused is they think, well, everybody on my list has to get this message. No, everybody on the list doesn't get the message. Just people who fall into this bucket get this drip. People who fall into this bucket get that drip. So there's a lot of pieces and parts, but to me, there's no difference before and after. If you had those drips in place, they could have been going out during this 8-week shut off of whatever and leaving, top of mind impressions with everyone. I mean, you can do the one-off message that says, okay, we're back. Here's our new hours. Okay, fine. That's one time. But you need to be doing bigger picture messaging because everyone's going to be, in a lot of ways, I think that this whole experience has been very situational. There wasn't like some economic thing that caused a downturn. When everybody is pretty much back and going again, we're going to have a big boom. I need to get a haircut. I need to get my nails done. I'm going to be spending money. And everyone's going to be in that same position. So you just want to make sure that your message permeates that person's brain so that they're thinking about you. So whatever it takes to get that message out, and a drip is a great way to do it. Get it going now, because it is front loaded. It does take a little bit of time to get that ready to go.
I've got the perfect example about what not to do.
Okay.
So in the last month, my inbox has been completely overrun with pandemic stories about how we're handling things at XYZ company.
Right.
Right? These are companies that I haven't heard from.
Right.
I don't remember signing up for this stuff. I can't wait to hit unsubscribe or the spam button, right? Because I don't ever hear from them, right? So I think if you're thinking about what you're doing with marketing, if your marketing email list, right, you do nothing with it, nothing, right? And then something like this happens and it's like, oh my God, we got to send stuff out to everybody we know, right? You have failed in marketing.
Yeah. That's so funny that you say that, because I think about that with holiday greeting emails. I call Christmas greetings, Mother's Day greetings, Valentine's Day greetings. I call those opt-out opportunities.
That's great.
So don't send one-offs. Are usually never good. Nothing in life is a one-off. Everything takes effort. Everything takes thought. You've got to think about things the way that your customers and prospects are thinking about it and answer those questions. If you're not sure, we'll leave you with this, Marshall. If you're not sure what to talk about in your messaging, call your top 5 customers and say, put that line back up, Marshall, from your thing. Say these words to them. How are you holding up? Tell me something good going on in your life right now. Just say that to them on the phone, and you will be inundated with content that you didn't even know they wanted to know. So that's how you do that.
Man, I'm doing it right after this thing.
That's a good one.
So, all right. So if for drip marketing, I know I used MailChimp previously, and actually just to be completely open here, Lori helps me with my drip marketing, and she has helped me migrate over to a platform called Zoho. So what's the programs that people should be using? I know you like Zoho, but if maybe they have MailChimp, what are some other ones? What do you recommend for just a starter level? I don't need to know a whole bunch. What should people use?
So they should use the program they're more likely to actually use. That's the number one. So if you're not going to use it, it doesn't matter. But okay, sarcasm aside.
Right.
MailChimp has, I think, 2,500 free before they start charging you, 2,500 contacts that you can send out. That's a good way to get started if you want to just try it out. What's another one? I don't like Constant Contact because they fire you if you have too many opt-outs. And if you've not sent mail before, you're more likely to have opt-outs, and then you've wasted all that time getting set up, and then they get mad at you and fire you. So I've had that happen to several clients. That's not my favorite.
That's not good.
Yeah. There's just a ton of them now, and there's a lot of free ones. What I would avoid doing is using one of the overlays to your Gmail or Outlook and using your own domain to send mass marketing. Don't do that. You'll get banned and marked as a spammer really quickly if you don't know what you're doing. So don't do that. But, you can pay $9, $10, $20 a month and get a nice program that, I won't even say makes pretty templates, because you really don't want to do pretty templates. You want to do nice, boring text-based templates for the most part, 90% of your messaging. So you don't even have to worry about what the graphics and the templates look like. But just do something, get started. When we hang up, there you go. There's your message.
Right. Okay, well, great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Lori. So if anybody wants to get a hold of her, here is, if I find it, here is her wrong one. Here is her email address, which is just Lori@thedatabasedeva.com. And she was going to be on our Shirt Lab Chicago event this June, but we've moved it to next year. And she's also doing Dallas. So she'll be at both Shirt Labs in 2021. So
I'd love to meet everybody. You guys are just incredible with your talents. So good luck. I know you can all persevere and do well, and we're all going to pull out of this.
And if anybody has any questions, any of this stuff, Laura, you're happy to take their email and help them out, right?
We have a free brainstorm call, kind of like a free branding audit kind of thing. So we'll do that. Yep, always.
Yeah, call her up. All right, so thank you so much. Let's just make sure I have any questions. Nope. So I appreciate everyone watching, and thank you so much, Keith, for that great question. And we'll get you next time. Thank you so much. See you.
Thanks, Marshall.